broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzz TV fans, and welcome to a special interview for Red vs. Blue. I am Katie Cullen. I am with the wonderful Megan Salinas.
Hey, everybody.
Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at @themenguin. That's TheMenguin.
And I am on Twitter at Kiaxet. That's Kiaxet. And we are with one David Jennison, the voice of Sharkface. How are you doing,
Hello.
David? How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing all right. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. We know there have been a lot of people who have been really interested to hear who the voice of Sharkface is because it's been kept so deep under wraps. And so I'm curious, why the secrecy?
That's actually a good question, and I don't know the answer to that. It was, when I was first auditioning, they had kind of a decoy. When I received the lines to send in my audition, I think the character's name was like Razorhead or something. And I didn't think anything of it. It was the same description that Sharkface was, and then it wasn't until I actually went in and read that they're like, actually, you're reading for this guy Sharkface, and the fans think he's dead and he's never spoken before. So yeah, it was like a decoy character. So yeah, it's important to the fans. A lot of people know who he was. I instantly started searching and found all the buzz about him. So yeah.
So how did you first hear about the part?
Well, my agent emailed me and said, they're looking for a gruff mercenary character, and then they gave me the decoy character, but it wasn't until I talked to Miles and he kind of gave me the skinny on him and where he was from. But the more I learned about him, the more excited I became. I felt like I was born to play that character.
You were born to play Sharkface.
Yes.
I'm a little worried about that.
Born with half of my face burned off. Yes.
Well, you look great.
Oh, thank you.
He is a very interesting character, though, because he's not painted as 100% bad. In his mind, he has the moral high ground.
Yeah, it's a cliche, but it's very true that well-written heroes are well-written villains are the heroes of their own story. So he definitely, on the surface, and that was kind of my experience in reading for him. At first, I was like, oh, this is just an awesome, badass. Deep voice mercenary, I love these guys. But when I went in and getting the direction from Miles and reading more about him, there's these layers to him. And yeah, he's definitely, the way he sees it, he's just kind of righting a wrong that happened to him.
So what was your inspiration for his voice?
I'd like to say that, I went and researched mercenaries. It was. I think it was something that changed a little bit over time. My first audition was just kind of out of the box, just kind of gruff sounding guy. I don't know. I would say. Once I realized he was kind of wounded, I just kind of thought more about, soldiers come back after war. A lot of them are kind of a shell of who they were before they left, unfortunately. That certainly seeing him in the final production, I was happy because he did seem to capture some of that. as a wounded person. He's kind of a sad character.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Very tragic.
Yeah.
Were you a little bit concerned, though? Most of the voice actors for Red vs. Blue have, because they're speaking through helmets, have a little sound effects kind of added to it to make that voice filter sound. Were you worried that that was in any way going to affect your performance?
Well, no, because I am so conceited that I didn't even consider that they were going to change my voice. And I, for some reason, thought, when I saw they showed me, the model that they were working on, which looked great, and I was like, oh yeah, that's how he's going to look. And I just didn't even think about it, and I was like, oh yeah, everyone else will be wearing a helmet, but he'll be out and showing off his great looks and everything. And then the first scene, he is without his helmet, and I'm like, yeah. And then he puts on his helmet, I'm like, okay. He's in Halo. Yeah, so.
He's going to be the one guy without a helmet, and that's how you know he's important.
Exactly. That's how he got burned, He didn't wear his helmet. Yeah.
Did you do anything in particular to get into character before you recorded?
Not too much. It was thinking about him a little bit on the way there, but it was really Miles. He's one of the best people I've worked with. He's he really helps you to kind of get into the mind of the character, and I don't know, it's kind of organic, and a lot of it was kind of finding him or finding the subtleties that Miles wanted as we recorded it. So I'd love, again, to say, I meditated on top of the Rooster Teeth building, naked in the cold, and just, I burned my face. And then, but I guess I'm not that deep of an actor. So
I feel like that would have wound up in one of their shorts if you had. And secondly,
probably
thank God you're not.
Yeah, and then I would have gotten arrested.
Yeah,
and then they still might have let me record it, but
Still, probably not a good idea to be that method.
Yeah, as an officer, I'm an actor. I'm an actor, officer. Yeah.
It'd be super method to do it from a jail cell, though.
Exactly.
The acoustics in here are terrible.
I'm gonna go live in prison for a week and then come out and do this character.
Just to get into that headspace.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I will be the most
prepared. It's a little bit more than I'm willing to go for a character, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. We're kind of glad you didn't do that.
Yeah, me too. As is my wife and family. So.
Just for a good cause.
Exactly. I'm so dedicated.
It's all about the craft. But just talking about his character, he has a very interesting story from beginning, middle to end. And we talked to Miles a little bit on our last show about the end and why it was important from a writing standpoint to kind of wrap up the story in the way that it wrapped up. What did you think when you were sitting down and reading the script? Were you like, no, man, that's not the way this guy goes out?
No, actually, I wasn't. I'm trying to remember at what point I knew through it that he was going to die. I was so excited to the buildup of the fight and the avalanche, and I was like, this guy's such a badass. That when he died, I kind of knew, and Miles was like, this. I guess I kind of knew that this character was going to put the heroes in a position that really makes them think about themselves, and that makes him very important. I think just for the heroes, it's I had in my mind some sort of that. There was, I don't know, like a training montage or something. When you take on Sharkface, you're going to have to do this. It wasn't like that, obviously, but it caused drama between her and her AI guy, which I can't remember the name of. I'm sorry.
Church.
Epsilon.
Yeah.
Either one.
Yeah, Epsilon, I was going to say. When he was finally killed, he had a great exit line where he just kind of loses it completely, and then he's shot in the face. Or the body.
And then a nuclear explosion.
It'd be funny if he came back every season. And then this time it'll be with Washington and Kimball. This time he's decided that Kimball is now his
We actually
Becomes a horror movie villain at that point.
At that point, yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the first things we asked Miles after that episode was, is Sharkface dead? Because we knew the fans were immediately going to latch on to, oh no, he'll be fine. Oh no, he'll be okay. Have you seen any of the fandom's response to Sharkface?
I'd be lying if I didn't say that, every day I like to sprinkle some Parmesan on my ego and just, check out what's everybody saying about Sharkface. Oh yeah, they think he's awesome. So I like that. Every couple of weeks I'd look, and after an episode I'd look at the forums, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I just kind of searched find Sharkface and just read all the comments that are only talking about Sharkface. But because I don't have time to read them all, But I love it. It's just.
Is it hard not to sit there and go, "Hey guys, that's me"?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like it's like going to a coworker and it's nice to slip somebody a gift, and then you watch them react and you're like, oh. They don't know it's me, but then you want to eventually be like, it was me. That's kind of how it felt.
Well, we'll definitely get a bit of that after the season finale when the news breaks. For those of you watching this on Tuesday, we recorded it like a week ago. Hi, guys.
We're coming from the past.
We are. Into the future. Everything is shiny here. Wow. What was your biggest challenge in voicing Sharkface?
Really good questions that I don't have a prepared answer for. I don't remember. I certainly don't remember being frustrated at any point with it. It was so fun. I felt like I just kind of slipped into it, and Miles, he's just a great director, and was able to just kind of bring me along at a nice pace. I can't think of anything where I was like, oh man, I can't get this, or I don't know. It's not like I'm some great actor that maybe another character I would struggle with, or there would be a challenge. But that one, I kind of felt like I knew him. I kind of felt like I grew with him, through the performance. So
that was just a very fitting part for you then.
I guess so. I guess. In a way, I am Sharkface. I'm gonna be like the Bela Lugosi who just goes nuts. And I'm gonna be buried in my Sharkface. I'm never gonna make it past this character.
Oh.
I'll be typecast as Sharkface and Sharkface-like characters. No. That would be funny. I want to be buried. Burn half of my corpse, please, and bury me. Shoot me, actually, just like the finale.
And then nuclear explosion, just to top it all off.
Exactly.
Well, we know it's sad that he's gone from the show, but we know that next season is going to be an anthology, a series of anthologies focusing on different characters. If they were to explore Sharkface past by any chance, what would you want to see kind of explored?
Well, one line that he said was when he's going off. It's his first, the first scene with him speaking where he's talking about, then they killed my friends, and I remember very distinctly. We went over just saying that line a few times, and Miles was looking for some nuance there, which I think made it through. Where he's really wounded. Whoever those people were. He cared a lot about him, and maybe there was a romantic relationship. I don't know, but I've always wondered who those people were to him. They obviously weren't just they're my drinking buddies. You killed them. You suck. They were people that he cared about. So I would be curious to see that explored at that time in his life.
That would be interesting to see a little more of the Mercs, because they were in the same way that Sharkface is a mirror image of Carolina. Their team was parallel to the Freelancers, so that would be interesting to see that develop.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
We'll start the petition now. We'll start the petition now.
I'd watch that.
I would watch that TV program, yes. Is there anything that you would change about your performance? Or are you just super happy with it?
God, I sound so conceited with all these questions. Were there any challenges? No, it was easy. Is there anything you changed? No, I did perfect. No. I don't know.
That's a legitimate answer.
Miles, I'm sure, has some things. It sounds cheesy. I was so blown away seeing the season. I watched it again the other day. Just so impressed with how everything came together, and I didn't see anything that made me cringe, and that might be a testament to how great a director Miles is, or how great a team they are, that they might have corrected or glossed over mistakes or weaknesses in my performance. So I'll credit them. I don't want to change anything because they made me look awesome.
Well, okay,
but no, I'm just so happy with the result. I'm so kind of starstruck with it. Yeah.
Did you get to do any of the motion capture for your performance?
No, and lucky for me, I didn't, because I am not in any way an athlete or physically designed to do anything like that, and I probably would have injured myself, and then lawsuit. No, I didn't. But I did get to meet the mocap actors and the stunt guys after my second session, and that was awesome. They're like, this guy's going to. I mean, I wish I should have looked up his name. This guy's he's gonna be you. You're the voice. But no, I didn't. Then those guys are awesome, and that's the other thing with this is I'm only one dimension of this character. I'm only the voice, but the mocap actors and the stunt guys and the modelers that made the character, the animators. I mean, they all it's a group effort. But yeah, I'm very impressed with their work.
Well, we're pretty impressed with your work too.
Thank you.
Were you able to record with anyone else? Did you ever do a table read, or was it just you in the booth?
It was me in the booth. I mean, technically, my scenes with Felix, because that's Miles. So those, he was there. But no, that's always been my experience. I don't think I've ever read with someone else. It's lonely in the booth.
Is it something you'd like to do?
It's usually, there's the director, but it was interesting though, because it came off to me as pretty seamless, and I think it's because Miles knew kind of what he wanted from the other characters. So as he's what do I want to say, pre-performing them, he's able to get me in the right space, and then assuming eventually he goes and directs them, he can get them in the right space, and it's like he's preparing these parts and puts it together. But yeah, no, it was just me in the booth alone.
Aw.
Well, you mentioned your experience. Do we want to talk a little bit about your experiences in voice acting so far?
Yeah.
Sure.
What's your dream role? The one character that you would just love to voice, or top 5.
Well, honestly, Sharkface is pretty close. I love villains. I've always loved villains. I've always made up voices of villains. I've always imitated the villains that I really like. I've been typecast, it seems now, as villains. I did work on DC Universe, and I ended up as the Penguin and Heatwave, and
I saw Green Arrow on there too, though.
Yeah, I am Green Arrow, and it's very much the opposite, because they wanted a very non-dark brooding Arrow. They wanted a smiling, I mean, literally the direction with him was always, say it with a smile, say it with a smile. So then the dark and brooding Arrow comes out, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool too. But yeah, I did Arrow. That's good. Probably a Sith Lord would be up there.
Oh, that would be fun.
Darth Jennison, maybe.
Darth Sharkface.
Darth Shark.
I mean,
It's gonna end up on DeviantArt. Somebody's gonna do a Darth Sharkface.
there's a Star Wars animated series going on right now.
I would love to see Darth Sharkface.
That'd be great. Yeah, any villain. I'd like to do an older character. I like doing old men. I usually, when I get telemarketers, I like to answer as an old person, and man, you can just hear their enthusiasm just drops. They're like, oh man, I gotta talk to this guy.
Can we hear your old person telemarketer voice?
Well, if they call, I'm just like, hello. Like, oh, hi, are you the leader of the house? Oh, yeah. Who's this? I just play it really slow, and then I'll throw in something like, they'll be like, oh, well, we're doing security, and we sell security to houses. I'm like, that'll keep the Russians off my. They're like, yes, that will. And then I did have one guy who was coming from India, and I didn't feel too bad because some of these guys, I mean, it's borderline predatory because you do get some guys who want to just hang up. And then you get some guys who are like, ooh, this is a mark. I can sell to this guy because he's senile, right? Oh. So I didn't feel too bad, but I had one guy call from India, and he's like, there are things, did you know that there are things on your computer that are hurting it? I was like, let me ask you a question. He's like, what? I was like, do you know about the devil? And he's like, what? Devil? He's coming for you on the 16th night. Okay. Well, sir, he's coming for you the 16th night, remember. Yeah. Meanwhile, my kids and my wife are behind me just like... I don't feel too bad, they're calling my house.
At dinner time, right?
Yeah, actually it was at dinner time,
yeah,
and my kids were behind me. They're like, do the devil thing, Dad, do the devil thing.
So it's dinner and a show.
Exactly, yeah. So, that being said, I'd love to actually, do that in a professional capacity instead of just annoying telemarketers.
Professional telemarketer shield.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what initially prompted you to become an actor?
Well, it's interesting. That's not my day job. I'm actually a character artist for video games.
Really?
And yeah, and I was working at Sony Online and working on DC Universe as a character artist. And I'd done acting in high school and a little bit in college. And I always like doing voices and impersonations and stuff. And they said, "Oh, we need temp voices, kind of to the studio. Anybody want to come in and audition?" So I came in and auditioned. I ended up. They're like, "Oh, well, we heard that you can do a Joker or Mark Hamill's Joker." They ended up getting actual Mark Hamill, but they wanted a temp VO of his Joker. So I did that for a long time. And then when it came time to actually audition, they're like, "Yeah, you should go out for these parts." And I auditioned for like 16. I think I ended up with 6, which was great. It was a total foot in the door moment. So that was it. And then, I've just done some video games here in town, and then Red vs. Blue. So I feel very lucky.
That's quite the step up. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
Do you have any upcoming projects you can tell us about?
No, I don't. Well, that depends on Rooster Teeth, actually. No, not really. Not that I'm aware of.
As a character designer, when you were shown like the character model for Sharkface, do you find that you're critical of the characters that you play? You're like, I don't know if I would have done him that way.
Well, it's funny. I mean, the model does look great, and it's a nice blend of. And I remember Miles saying, we kind of pictured him as almost like a pretty boy or somebody who was attractive, which makes his scarring all the more tragic. It was like, But yeah, I like that. But not really. Character artists for video games, they're almost like the guitarist of video games. They're, it takes one character artist to make a character. It takes 10 to criticize how well he does. It's a little catty. But I didn't feel that way with this at all. I really liked what they did. And seeing it totally got me into the mood and kind of what they were looking at for the character. I was like, I have to sound kind of handsome, but also kind of burned. And,
Well, that about sums
like I have
up.
one eye. And,
You have to sound like you have one eye.
yeah. How do I do that? Yeah.
How does voicing video game characters differ from voicing a character in an ongoing narrative?
Well, video games, I would say, I don't know. There's probably more dialogue. I mean, it's a drama, There's similarities, like when you're fighting, you do, I forgot what it's called, where you do a series of like grunts. It's like, all right, you're kicking now.
The efforts.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And again, seeing them in the context, I was like, God, they do it so perfect. They just edit it so perfect. But yeah, there's more dialogue. I think, I don't know. I to a certain degree, I think there's more investment. And this sounds bad because I work for the video game industry, and so many people would kill me for saying this, but I think there's when you have just a pure your pure a form of media where you're just watching and you're not interacting, I think that might just demand a little bit, what I want to say, deeper performance or more traditional acting. And that's, there's some great performances in video games, and hopefully I've done some good ones. But yeah, I'd say not a whole lot of difference, but I certainly approach it the same way, try and get in the head of the character.
But when you're just watching, there's nothing to distract the audience.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, you feel more relevant, I would say. You are the center, Whereas, if you're voicing a character, because a lot of times in video games you have some sort of dialogue. You're getting a quest or something. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the other thing. You usually don't have that sort of investment. You don't need that kind of investment in a quest giver. I don't, say, okay, I'm doing this Chinese hamster for this kid's game. What's his background? Like, how did he become Chinese? How did he become a hamster? Like, what was he before that? Like, you don't think about it that way, You're just like, all right, let me do my default Chinese hamster.
You have a default
as opposed
Chinese
to someone like
hamster voice?
Sharkface or Green Arrow or Penguin or something like that you're going to think a lot more about. You're going to have more depth. So.
You have a default Chinese hamster voice?
You don't have to answer. You don't have to.
I'm a little stuck on that.
My Swiss Army knives of voices is like Chinese hamster, German wombat. Yeah, I don't have that.
Was there ever a point where you're allowed to improv in the booth? I know that for a lot of stuff it's very strict about sticking to the script, but I also know that Rooster Teeth sometimes in more comedic roles allows people to improv.
Yeah, well, Sharkface is probably the least comedic role. There's no laughs with Sharkface. There's no gags. Oh, wait, well, he does say, is he always like that when Felix is being a jerk to him? But, no, I mean, there were times where Miles, another good thing about him is he really knows when to fine-tune and thread you along to get what he wants, and then other times he's like, okay, play with this line, explore it, explore the space, cowbell. But yeah, so there was some of that just in terms of, he'd be like, okay, surprise me, how are you gonna say this line? But it's usually he knew kind of, and it wasn't like a lot of corrections. Usually like, okay, this is what's going on for you, and this is why what they said just bothered you, and that helps to fine-tune it.
Okay. Is there anything about Sharkface that wasn't shown in the season that you want the fans to know about?
I just found out his name is Terrence. I'm going to take that up with Miles, because had I known that his name was Terrence, I would have played him totally different.
Terrence Ephemera Sharkface.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Terrence, Preston, the third Sharkface. No, I don't. I thought about him almost more after seeing the season. After seeing it all together than I did beforehand, which does make me sound very good. But no, I think that seeing it all together is, gives him the depth. And as I said, there's certain lines, like towards the end, his first scene where he's talking to the doctor, he reveals a lot about himself. But when Carolina apologizes to him. And I remember reading that, and I remember reading the scene, and I remember kind of what Miles was looking for with that. But man, seeing it in context, and just, that was really when I felt sad for him, because you could tell he had distorted things so much in his mind that he didn't even say, wait a minute, you're trying to trick me. It was like, something's gotten into you. I think that was a line. Something's gotten into you. Like he's so jaded that that was when I felt sorry for him, and that's when I think I that piqued my appreciation for him as a character. I think seeing all that in context.
It was too bad he only lived for another 5 minutes after that.
I know. He exposed himself. He put his heart out there, and then they just shot him dead.
Really
good.
What
Life is.
Really good monologue, though, right before the end.
I know. He goes off. And
Given that your day job was more character design and that acting is a little bit more of a new realm for you, do you have any advice for other people who are aspiring actors?
I would say, I mean, this sounds bad. It didn't fall in my lap, but it's not like I spent, it's not like I went to, to England and went to some great academy and just worked at it my whole life. I feel very lucky that something that I had always wanted to do crossed with an opportunity. I would say, analyze as many performances as you can, and it's just like anything else. Figure out why they work, what about them you like. A lot of people do think that voiceover acting is somehow not acting, it's just making a voice. And it's so not. I mean, even roles that I thought would just be like, well, just go and, they want this funny sounding character. And the directors, they're pretty specific. They're, they really like to give depth. I've heard actually lots of people be like, I've got a good speaking voice. I could be a voice actor. It's like, but are you an actor? Like, first you have to act. And in some ways, you don't have the luxury of expressing with your face and everything. So it all goes into your voice. I would say record as much of yourself and listen to it back as much as you can. Because we've all seen movies actually where you get some high-ranking actor who's brilliant in front of the camera, and they give him some DreamWorks role, and he sounds flat and bland, and it gives you appreciation of how it is a different kind of acting. It's definitely acting, but you have to put a lot into your voice.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Where can the fans go if they want to find out more about you and your projects?
They asked me that. I'm probably the only person under the age of 70 that doesn't have a Twitter account. And I was literally, right after I talked to the person who I talked to right before the interview, I was literally, while I was waiting for you guys, trying to make a Twitter account. Gotta get in on this. That was my old man. Gotta get in on this Twitter thing. If you want to see my character art, you can go to davidjennisonart.com, or if you go to Behind the Voice, they have a profile for me there with my performances for DC Universe. And Call the Ear Talent. I have my demo up there. on Quality Your Talent.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much. Have a wonderful night.
Okay, you too. Take care.
You too. Oh, that was a blast.
It was a blast. He was so cool.
Just telemarketers. That's what I took away from this. I Sharkface kind of talking to telemarketers, like, what are you doing?
Remember, voice actors, use your powers for good, not evil.
Oh, I disagree. That was wonderful.
Oh, no, it was pretty fantastic.
That count as using it for good?
Yes.
Anyway, Megan, where can the people go to find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at @TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I'm also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz. Check out the Movie Chick news review show every week on Popcorn Talk Network. And as always, check out the Movie Chick articles that we write, Chick with 2 Ks. Be sure to check those out.
I'm Katie Cullen. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram at Kiaxet, and on Snapchat at Kia Prime. And Kiaxet is Kiaxet because you can't ever spell that. I'm on a whole bunch of shows here, including Robots in Disguise, which is coming up on its season finale, and Z Nation, which is coming up on its season premiere. I'm also writing articles for the Movie Chick. Thank you guys so much for watching.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.